A man does not surrender his soul in a single, dramatic act of betrayal. He signs it away, clause by clause, in the quiet negotiations of 1,000 ordinary days. He trades a piece of it for peace, another for a paycheck, and a significant portion for the hollow promise of acceptance. He is not robbed at knife point. He is slowly, methodically relieved of his essence, convinced each concession is a necessary deposit into the bank of a respectable life. And when the statement finally arrives, it reads not in riches, but in a devastating deficit of self. This is a silent crisis unfolding in plain sight, not in the streets, but in the suburbs, not in prisons, but in home offices and open-plan kitchens. It is the mass exodus of the masculine spirit from the very societies it built, a voluntary withdrawal into solitude that is mislabeled as weakness, as failure, as pathology. But this is a misdiagnosis of a profound cultural illness. What appears as retreat is, in its truest form, resistance. It is the application of an ancient operating system for a life of virtue and purpose, Stoicism, to a modern world that offers men everything but meaning. This is not about hating society. It is about choosing oneself over a slow, soul-crushing dissolution into nothingness. The dichotomy of control, the first and final border. The modern world inundates a man with demands, expectations, and anxieties that are not his to own. From the moment he wakes to the ping of a work email to the moment he lies awake calculating a mortgage he cannot afford, he is taught that his worth is extrinsic. It is tied to his productivity, his social capital, his ability to provide and perform. He is micromanaged by corporate HR departments, judged by the curated happiness on his partner's social feed, and measured against the fictional protagonists of films he never chose to watch. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, born a slave, drew a line in the sand that every free man must learn to see. Some things are within our power, while others are not. Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever is of our own doing. Not within our power are our body, our property, reputation, office, and, in a word, whatever is not our own doing. This is the dichotomy of control. It is the fundamental Stoic doctrine that separates the world into two categories, that which is up to us and that which is not. A man's bleeding begins the moment this border becomes blurred. What is not within his control? The opinions of others, the past, the future, market crashes, his company's stock price, traffic, another person's love or respect, societal trends, the weather, his genetic predispositions, the political climate, his boss's mood, the demands of his extended family. What is within his control? His own judgments, his values, his character, his actions, his reactions, his effort, his honesty, what he chooses to desire and to avoid, the discipline he applies to his mind and body, how he spends his attention, the standards he upholds. The slow bleed described in the reference text is a hemorrhage of energy and time spent trying to control the uncontrollable. It is the man who stays late at the office, not to do meaningful work, but to manage his boss's perception of him, an external he can never truly command. It is the man who swallows a bitter comment from his partner, not out of wisdom, but out of fear of conflict and a desperate need to control her mood, another external. It is the man who buys a car he cannot afford to control the opinions of neighbors he does not like. Every agreement he doesn't challenge is a surrender of his internal judgment to an external demand. Every job he swallows in the name of responsibility is often not true responsibility to his own soul, but a slavery to external definition of success. This is a theft of time disguised as duty. Duty to whom? To a script he never wrote. The man who chooses solitude is not necessarily fleeing people. He is, often instinctively, retreating to a place where the cacophony of externals is muted enough for him to hear his own thoughts. He is simplifying his world not out of misanthropy, but to reestablish the border of what is his and what is not. In the quiet, he can finally tend to the only thing that has ever been truly his character, his will, his inner citadel. This is not weakness. It is the first necessary act of reclaiming sovereignty, the weight of the unseen burden, a man's loneliness. Women don't understand men's loneliness. Not really. A man's loneliness isn't about the absence of people. It is the absence of being understood in his silence. He can be in a room full of people, his family, his friends, his colleagues, and feel completely invisible. This is because modern society has no language of the interior life of a man, only for his utility. He is praised for what he does, not for who he is. His value is transactional. He is the problem solver, the protector, the provider, but who sees the man beneath the function, who sees the weight he carries without immediately asking him to put it down, apologize for it, or convert it into a palatable emotion. The Stoics understood that a wise man must carry his own weight, but they also spoke of the importance of fellowship with those who share a commitment to virtue. Seneca wrote letters to Lucilius not just to teach, but to connect, to reinforce shared values in a world that often lacked them. This is a brotherhood that is missing, not a brotherhood of barbecues and sports, but a brotherhood of shared purpose and mutual respect for the silent struggle. The modern world offers men surveillance and conditional love, not brotherhood. It offers a network of transactions. I will love you if you succeed. I will respect you if you provide. I will include you if you agree. This is not connection. It is a leash. And so men retreat. They choose the honest loneliness of solitude over the suffocating loneliness of a crowd that only sees his utility. This loneliness is solved not by hugs or platitudes like, "You are enough," which often feel like another performance demanded of him. It is solved when another person, a true friend, a mentor, a partner, sees the effort itself. They see the discipline it takes to get up every day, the integrity it takes to do a job, well, even when it is meaningless, the strength it takes to remain calm in the storm. They see the shadow, and instead of demanding he hide it, they acknowledge its presence as part of the whole man. This is what the Stoic concept of sympathia, the interconnectedness of rational beings, truly means: a profound recognition of the shared human struggle, not a superficial offer of comfort, the mass of compliance and the decaying soul. Carl Jung said that every man carries a shadow, a dark side of the personality containing everything he refuses to acknowledge about himself. His rage, his ambition, his primal instincts, his deep desires. A healthy society provides rituals and pathways for a man to integrate this shadow, to make it conscious and direct its power constructively. Our culture does the opposite. It tells men to suppress it, to pretend it doesn't exist. He is told to be nice, to be agreeable, to be non-threatening. The modern ideal of man is a sanitized, neutered consumer, a passive participant in his own life. Fyodor Dostoevsky, a writer who peered into the abyss of the modern psyche long before it became a cultural trope, understood this intimately. He did not write men as heroes. He wrote them as broken mirrors, reflecting both guilt and longing. In Notes from the Underground, he described a man who hated himself for submitting to society's demands, yet also hated society for demanding his submission. He is spiteful, irrational, and trapped in his own consciousness, a far cry from the glossy, optimized heroes of modern media, and for that reason, far more true. This is a reality for countless men. He goes to work, pays his bills, nods along in conversations that bore him to death. But inside, he is the underground man, resentful, suffocating, yet too afraid of the consequences to explode. He is a prisoner in a gulag of his own making, built brick by brick from compromises. Alexander Solzhenitsyn, who chronicled the Soviet gulags, described life there not just as a physical imprisonment, but as a war against the human soul. Men today live in a different kind of gulag. Its walls are not made of concrete and barbed wire, but of routine, debt, bureaucracy, and the constant, low-grade surveillance of social expectations. The gulag of a modern man's life is constructed from the imperative: be a good dad, a good husband, a good employee, while every authentic desire of his own, for adventure, for mastery, for silence, for purpose, is treated like contraband. The punishment for attempting escape is not a firing squad, but something often more terrifying to the modern man: exile, divorce, alienation from his children, financial ruin, social cancellation. Every man intuitively understands this risk, which is why he so often stays compliant. Even as he feels himself rotting from the inside out, he chooses the known misery of the prison over the unknown terror of the wilderness. The why against the how. The Stoic philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, building on the core tenets of finding meaning in adversity, stated, "He was a why to live for can bear almost any how." This is the ultimate Stoic weapon against the slow bleed. A purpose transforms suffering into a test of character and hardship into a training ground. The central problem for the modern man is that he is given endless hows, but never a why. How to get a job, how to get a wife, how to get a mortgage, how to behave appropriately, how to optimize his diet, how to dress for success. But why? For what ultimate purpose? To what end? Without a self-directed, internalized why, all of these have become a meaningless series of tasks. Life becomes machinery. A man wakes up at 40, 50, or 60 and realizes with horrifying clarity that he's been living a life someone else designed. He has been a tenant in his own existence, following a script written by culture, family, and corporate marketing departments. He has been serving someone else's God. In that moment of awakening, he is presented with a brutal choice, the ultimate Stoic test. He can be destroyed by despair, collapsing under the weight of time he perceives as wasted. Or he can be reborn in defiance. He can use that painful clarity as fuel. This is the moment where Stoicism shifts from a philosophy of endurance to one of empowered action. The clock starts ticking with a new urgency. The illusions no longer work. The Instagram fantasies of perfect lives, the hallmark myths of effortless romance, the corporate mantra of we're a family. At this age, a man sees through them all. He knows their cost. He has the receipts. He knows exactly how much of his life has been given away to these fictions. The question is no longer what should I do, but what will I do with what remains? Will he continue to bleed out the last decades in quiet desperation, or will he fight back with surgical precision for every remaining hour? The Stoic reclamation. Solitude as a forge, not a refuge. The answer is not found in the therapy cliches or the commercialized concept of self-care. It is not about scented candles and mindfulness apps that merely help him tolerate the gulag better. The answer is a radical, Stoic reclamation of one's own time and agency. This reclamation is a process of intentional subtraction and fierce focus. Surgical precision with time. A man must audit his life like a ruthless accountant. He must identify every person, every obligation, every habit, and every thought pattern that wastes his time and energy, the two currencies of his life that are non-refundable. This requires applying a dichotomy of control with brutal honesty. Does this belong to me? Is this my concern? If not, it must be let go. This is not heartless. It is necessary. You cannot build a new life on a cluttered foundation, walking away from draining systems. This is the active choice of solitude over suffocation. It may mean leaving a job that demands his soul, but not his mind. It may mean ending a relationship that is based on control and conditionality, rather than mutual respect and growth. It may mean distancing himself from friends who thrive on gossip and negativity. It is a conscious withdrawal from systems that are architected to drain him. This is not retreat. It is a strategic redeployment of forces. Finding true brotherhood. The goal of solitude is not eternal loneliness. It is to create a space clean enough that when true brotherhood presents itself, it can be recognized. This brotherhood is not found in forced networking events. It is found in the pursuit of shared purpose. It is the other man at the gym who is there every day, not to post a selfie, but to forge himself. It is the man in a workshop mastering craft. It is the man who is also awoken and is looking for others who speak the same quiet language of integrity and action. These men find each other because they are looking in the same direction, forward, toward a life of virtue, living with mortal awareness. Memento mori, the Stoics practice memento mori, the remembrance of death. This was not morbid. It was the ultimate motivator. To remember that you will die is to infuse every hour with profound value. It is the antidote to procrastination and complacency. A man who truly internalizes his mortality does not have time for trivial arguments, petty grievances, or the approval of fools. He lives with urgency and clarity, not because he is frantic, but because he is grateful. He chooses his activities based on the question, is this how I wish to spend my one precious life? The great tragedy is not that life ends. The tragedy is that most men never truly live while they are here. They exist as echoes of other people's desires. If you recognize yourself in this text, you are not broken. You are awake. The pain you feel is not a symptom of failure. It is a signal of a soul that refuses to die quietly. It is the friction of your authentic self rubbing against the ill-fitting life you've been given. And if you are awake, you have a choice. You can numb the signal. You can crawl back into the sleep of distraction, compliance, and quiet desperation. Or you can stand up. You can accept the loneliness of the path ahead, not as a curse, but as the price of freedom. Start now. Cut one thing that drains you. Reclaim 1 hour for yourself. Define one thing that is your why. Do it today, then do it again tomorrow. The only thing worse than waking up at 40 and realizing you've lost 2 decades is waking up at 60 and realizing you've lost 3, or never waking up at all. The slow bleed can be cauterized. The choice is yours, and it is the only thing that ever truly has been.